These cherries are from the wild, not a supermarket, and now they're going to become jam. Here's how. First of all, I went out and picked a load of cherries one morning. I didn't aim for a specific amount, I just picked what I thought was a decent amount. I then gave the cherries a quick rinse and wash when I was at home, and then pitted them, which just means removing the stone from each one, so I've just got the flesh. I pitted some cherries by hand, but for the bulk I used a cherry pitter. It's a handy time-saving device for things like this, although admittedly it does work much better with large supermarket cherries and not as good with the smaller wild versions. But overall it was still a bit quicker at least than doing them all by hand. Once I'd pitted them all, I then weighed them, and it turns out I had about 1700 grams worth of pitted cherries. And for that amount of cherries, I decided to use about 1 kilogram's worth of sugar. And I do use a pectin sugar, also known as a jam sugar, for this recipe. Once the pitted cherries were in the pan, I did chop them up a little bit with a knife and gave them a light mashing as well, just to open them up a little further. I then got 2 smallish lemons and juiced them. My next job was to put 2 saucers in the freezer, ready to test the jam later. I already had the cherries in the required pan, so I added the lemon juice and the sugar and then mixed it all up on a high heat, and then once it started simmering I left it to simmer on a medium to high heat for about 40 minutes, stirring it quite regularly. Once the jam starts to thicken up, it could be a sign that it's nearly ready. After about 40 minutes I just tested the jam by putting a little spoonful of the jam onto one of the chilled saucers. I left it for about a minute and then just slowly pushed my finger through the jam. On this occasion it still felt a bit like a syrup and a bit too thin and watery with no wrinkling, so I left it to carry on simmering another 20 minutes just to thicken up a little bit, and then tested it again. This time I got the desired effect, which was when I put my finger through the jam slowly, it created a little bit of a wrinkling effect, and also the juices didn't run back into the line that I'd created. And those are the 2 things I'm normally looking for when I'm testing whether a jam's ready. As it was ready, I just spooned the jam into sterilised jars and then sealed them. And obviously being a jam, it should keep for many months, if not years, and it ideally wants to be stored in a cool, dark place, or of course if you've opened it, then in the fridge. As you can see, this recipe produced quite a lot of jam. I ended up with 1 very big jar, 2 normal sized jars, and then a smaller little container as well.